How does the U.S. men's national team compare to one of the young emerging South American national teams, and that is Ecuador? Well, today you are about to find out. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV, and welcome to another player-by-player comparison video where we will be leading to the World Cup, doing player-by-player comparisons with other national teams that are in the World Cup. U.S. men's national team and their team. So let us know on the comment section down below which national team from the World Cup should we do next. Now for this video, I will have a very special guest. Wait. Not really a guest. Dustin, the channel producer that's in every single video because he's the one that edits, will be helping me on camera this time representing Ecuador, as he is Ecuadorian American. He'll show his Ecuadorian expertise to us so we can learn more about the Ecuadorian national team, which, by the way, Ecuador in the World Cup is in Group A, the United States is in Group B. Depending on how we go through each group, we could face each other in the round of 16. Not just that, another fun fact, Ecuador qualified in 4th place in South America, and with the United States, these are the two teams that are expected to have the youngest rosters in the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. So this is going to be a very interesting player-by-player comparison to see how the United States compares on paper to Ecuador. Team we should do next. Thank you very much. Let's play the intro and let's bring back Dustin. Okay, everyone, today we have a guest that you haven't seen here in the channel for a while, but he's always in every video. You just don't see him. Dustin, finally back.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to be back. Obviously, I don't show up at the channel because I'm editing. And yeah, well, today I was dragged by Filippo against my will to show up at the channel because I don't like to talk about Ecuador, because everybody knows that I do not like to talk about Ecuador.
But just to make it clear for everyone here, the first thing about this video is not to determine which team is better. When there's a game, anything can happen. It's more so U.S. soccer fans can get to know Ecuador a little bit better because they are in Group A in the World Cup. So depending on how it goes, the U.S. and Ecuador could face each other in their knockout rounds if they both advance. And we wanted to do a video about the U.S. comparing to a South American nation. But we didn't think comparing to Brazil and Argentina would do much right now. They would win in almost every position. And then we thought about Uruguay, but we already played Uruguay. We saw that and we did a preview. So we thought, why not Ecuador? Also, Dustin's Ecuadorian American, so he can help us understand a little bit better about this team. So how it's going to go, Dustin? Each position is 1 point. You obviously, I don't know why I'm telling this. You obviously know that.
I'm editing the videos all the time.
So
sometimes I fall asleep while editing because it's like, oh, so repetitive. But yeah.
So everyone watching, instead of Dustin, each position is 1 point. We're gonna do all 11 positions, and at the end, we'll also talk about the two coaches, Greg Berhalter and Gustavo Alfaro. Ecuador finished 4th in CONMEBOL, and they are qualified to the World Cup. Why don't we get started right away? We're gonna go for 4-2-3-1 formation just for the sake of this video.
Yeah.
The goalkeeper for the United States, I'll give it after. Why don't you go first with Ecuador?
Yeah, so the goalkeeper, it's Galindez. I believe he's from Uruguay, but is naturalized Ecuadorian. And right now he plays for the Chilean league. He is 35 years old, and I personally like him. It's more because of his personality. He is a player that looks determined, and he doesn't seem nervous. On the other hand, you have Dominguez, who is always nervous. He's always making these silly errors. So yeah, but to be honest, in terms of quality, I could tell you right now, this is a position that Ecuador always lacked. We don't have good goalkeepers. We've never produced good goalkeepers. And yeah, I'm going for Galindez only because I like his profile, I like his personality, and that's it.
Yeah, he plays for Universidad de Chile right now.
Yeah, which is one of the best.
Yeah. So for the United States, everyone knows the goalkeeping position is kind of like ups for grabs. But right now, Matt Turner is the one that's probably leading the race. And then obviously Zach Steffen now got a loan to Middlesbrough. He'll be playing. Matt Turner will be on the bench in Arsenal. So maybe that can change. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to go with Matt Turner. That can very much change in 2-3 months. And I'm not going to talk much about Turner. We know his shot stopping, top notch, feet, shaky.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pick Turner over Galindez for this one here.
Same.
So we're both giving a point for the United States. 1-0 US on this first one.
Yeah. I don't
USA.
think we need to engage in a discussion over this because, as I said, Ecuador does not have goalkeeping depth as well. So yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think the U.S. lacks quality in goalkeeping. It's just that we haven't really been able to get them informed. Like
Yeah,
if they're informed, they're
they need
fine.
to play. They need to play. That's all. They need to play.
Now, so let's just move on. The goalkeeper was
Yeah.
pretty easy. We're gonna go to the fullbacks, and we'll start with the right back first. So, who's Ecuador's best right back right now, in your opinion?
So his name is Byron Castillo. I'm not sure if you guys heard his name over the news in the last 4 months.
He almost got you out of the World Cup.
Yes. So I'm not gonna talk too much about this because I don't know who's lying, and I just simply like to watch soccer. I don't want to engage in like politics. I don't really want to talk about his personal life because I don't know him personally. But just to make it short, there has been a birth certificate issue going on. Apparently, they're saying that he's from Colombia, and the Chilean national team was using this to qualify to the World Cup because he started both of the games against Chile. So, and the Chilean national team at the moment, they're broke. They need money, so they were trying to find ways to qualify to the World Cup, and they hired a top-notch Brazilian lawyer. So
We got the best lawyers in the world because
yeah,
we're always in trouble.
exactly. So Ecuador was actually, pretty lucky to for FIFA to not go in depth. But to be honest, the only thing I want to say is that I only care about soccer. I care about what I see on the pitch. If you look at his past, he developed in Ecuador. So his whole soccer career was in Ecuador. So even if he was born in Colombia, he has to be Ecuadorian. Like he's playing in the Ecuadorian league and he was developed in the Ecuadorian league for several years now. So to me, he's Ecuadorian. He's a good player, and unfortunately, Chile's golden era is over. So that's all I got to say. But now talking about Byron Castillo, he is, or like Filippo likes to call fast players, pace merchant. So he's
Pace
really
merchant.
fast. Yeah, he's really fast. He's also extremely good when it comes to dribbling, to one-on-one situations. He's amazing. And honestly, I was quite disappointed to hear that he's getting a transfer to Liga MX. I believe is Club León. But anyway, he is a really good player. I rate him super high, and he's also fighting right at the moment for a starting position with Preciado, who is also a player that I highly rate. But I prefer Castillo because during the second half of the World Cup qualifier, he really was one of the reasons why we were able to counter attack and to be effective going forward.
Castillo plays for, well, he used to play also for Barcelona, but from Guayaquil, the
From Guayaquil,
Barcelona from Ecuador, the ripoff of the Barcelona from Catalonia.
Yeah.
And my thing with him is so some people can know too. I think he's even played in the past as like a right winger. He does like to
Yeah.
push up high up the field quite a bit. And Barcelona Guayaquil has been giving a lot of Brazilian clubs trouble in the Libertadores the past 4 seasons that I remember, or so, something like that. Even eliminating Palmeiras, I think in 2017, the current 2-time champions. For the United States, it's Serginho Dest right now. Besides him, the other options would be Yedlin, Cannon, Joe Scally. Doesn't really matter who it is. It's Serginho Dest's position to lose still. And it looks like he's going to stay in Barcelona. Dani Alves left. We know how Dest is on defense in terms of positioning, gets distracted very easily, not the best defender. Going up top, very skilled player. Besides when it comes to crossing, that probably one of the issues with Dest still. Not that his crossing is horrible, but you would expect more because of how technical he is. Yeah, I'm still going to go with Dest on this one. And I think if you do pick the other one, it's more because Dest has been injured and you haven't really seen much of him. I think Dest is a much more talented player. These players that we don't talk about, they have a grit that's very tough to deal with, these Ecuadorian players. And Ecuador, by the way, you mentioned pace merchant. Ecuador loves pace merchants.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say in the beginning of the video that I'm gonna be using fast and explosive, these two key terms, quite a lot. That's really what Ecuador is they're just fast merchants, and they're extremely fast but also explosive. Of course, I'm going to give it to Des because he plays for Barcelona, an elite club. But I haven't seen much of Des because he's injured. He doesn't really get regular time. And to be honest, I think if Byron Castillo was, or like most of the Ecuadorian players were given an opportunity at these big elite clubs. I would like to see how they do, because unfortunately, Ecuador still has a really bad reputation when it comes to playing in Europe. Ecuador right now is currently exporting players to the Brazilian league, to Liga MX, to MLS, to Argentina.
But Dustin, 2-0 United States. But now we reach a position where Ecuador is actually very strong, the left
Yeah.
back position. I'm going to give quickly the United States one
Yeah.
because this one I'm going to say right away. I'm giving this point to Ecuador because this is actually one of the best players in their team. For the United States, it's still A-Rob, Jedi Robinson. Not the most technical player, relies a lot on his athletic ability. Defensively, gets caught off position way too often. I do think A-Rob's a good player, but at the same time, it doesn't really give me all that confidence, right? That's why we're always wanting a backup for him that can challenge him and possibly even fight for the position. But we don't have that, so he's our undisputed left back at the moment, and he'll be in the Premier League next season playing for Fulham. And to be honest, he does fine in the Premier League. Not an elite Premier League player, but he does just fine. He's not a liability for Fulham for sure. And then your left back is the guy that broke Weston McKennie's foot.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, as Filippo said earlier, Stupinian is by far the best player in this team, and also proven European-based player. He plays for Villarreal. His best time was actually at, I believe, is Osasuna's. At the end of the season, he was voted as one of the best left back in the Liga. And at the time, I think he was battling this title with Lodi from Brazil. If you look at stats, it showed that Stupinian actually was more effective. And I know that Filippo is a
No,
big
I'm
fan.
not surprised by that. I would take him over Lodi in Brazil. I don't like Lodi that much. Stupinian is. I just got pissed off with Pervis when he broke Weston, but he might be the best left back in South America right now. Now that I'm thinking of it.
Of course, this season was a bit tough for Stupinian because he had a lot of injuries. Personally, I do think he is the best left back at the moment for Villarreal, but right now he's battling for the starting position with Perlaza and with another player, I forgot the name. It might come to my head later. But anyway, Stupinian did pretty well during the Champions League with Villarreal. And for Ecuador during the World Cup qualifiers, he was the main man. He was literally the leader. This one is pretty easy for me. He is linked to Tottenham at the moment, and he might also play at the Premier League at one point in his life because he does have the profile of a Premier League player.
So I'm giving it to Ecuador too. 2-1 for the United States where Pervis. He also was in the Villarreal team that many might remember that defeated Manchester United in the Europa League final. Not this season, the previous one. So an Europa League title, a Champions League semifinal run, that says it all for everyone. And I think at the Europa League run, he was a locked-in starter, if I'm not mistaken, during the entire run. I know now you said that he was in and out with injuries, but that year, which was he was the man on the left back for Villarreal. Moving on here, and now for the center backs, right? We're going to go to center backs. I'm just going to give both American center backs, and then you give both Ecuadorian center backs too. But it counts as 2 points, obviously, because they're two separate positions. So the American center backs, before anyone gets pissed and starts saying, oh, it's Walker Zimmerman, he has to be there. Guys, look, in my opinion, the best two center backs the United States has, and I like ball-playing defenders, I like technical defenders that can do. The best ones we have, in my opinion, are John Brooks and Chris Richards, and that's what I'm going to go with in this video. Okay. Sure, you can put Walker. Miles Robinson, unfortunately, he's injured for at least a year, so can't put him here. And then after that, you got Long, Zimmerman, Cameron Carter-Vickers, McKenzie, Palmer Brown. I'm going with John Brooks as the left center back, which right now he doesn't have a club. At the time of this recording, okay, we're recording this in June, by the way, everyone, end of June. John Brooks still doesn't have a club. By the time you're watching this, maybe he'll have a club. So comment down below what club did John Brooks end up going to. And then I'm putting Chris Richards there, which also doesn't really have where he's going to go to right now because Bayern kind of said he's going. So we don't know. So the two defenders here from the United States, Richards and Brooks, by the time you're watching this, you'll know the club. So comment down below, where is Brooks playing and where is Chris Richards playing? Who are the center backs for Ecuador? And please don't say Arriaga.
No, I'm not a big fan of Arriaga. I'm not going to mention him. But actually, right now is Felix Torres. He plays for Santos Laguna at Liga MX. The other one would be Piero Hincapié. He plays for Bayern Leverkusen. I wanted to talk about Boleta at the moment, but he's injured. He's currently injured, and I think he probably missed his opportunity to go to the World Cup. And
just one thing for everyone listening. Arboleda is the center back for São Paulo in Brazil, one of the top clubs in the Brazilian league.
which is the reason why I wanted to talk about Arboleda, because he plays for the Brazilian league, which in my opinion is better than Liga MX. But in this case, I went for Felix Torres. He did pretty well. He was the starter for the Ecuadorian side, half of the World Cup qualifier. He scored 2 goals, I believe. He's not a ball-playing defender, but he's extremely good at pressing. I really like his physique. He's a tall defender, and I really like to see these tall defenders. About Piero Hincapié, I am a big fan of Piero Hincapié. I don't know if you guys know about him, but he was voted as one of the best talents in Bundesliga. And right now he is linked to Tottenham as well. So there's a possibility that he might go to Tottenham. But to me, I think I'm gonna go for both. I'm gonna give Piero Hincapié, and I'm also gonna give Felix Torres, because I am a big fan of John Brooks, but at the moment he doesn't really get called up for the U.S. men's national team. And
We know why. We know why.
you know why. But I do think that I guess we might not have the same opinions, but I do think that Brooks sometimes loses his focus during the game. So because of that, I do think that both of the Ecuadorian defenders are a little. I would say they're better than Brooks. And talking about Richards, I like Richards, but I think he's pretty average. Whereas Piero Hincapié, he's voted as one of the best young talents in Bundesliga. So to me,
Average in Bundesliga. Yeah.
Yes, correct. Yeah, he's pretty average. I mean, it's been a while, and yeah, he can't seem to convince Bayern Munich. So because of that, it makes me wonder if he's gonna become the defender that us U.S. men's national team fans are hoping to see in the future.
So Bayern Munich, I'm not too concerned because their standard is always trying to get
Yeah.
world-class players. If he's just elite, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I actually have Hincapié over John Brooks, so I have that point for Ecuador. Yeah, my main concern with Brooks is always it's more of like speed in transition, right? He's good in the air, he's good on the ball. I do think he's very well focused. People say he ball watches, but I don't think he ball watches that much as people try to portray it. My main concern with him is speed in transition. Hincapié doesn't have that issue. Good on the ball, lefty. I have that point.
He's inexperienced.
I do have Richards over Felix Torres though. More of a preference because Felix is more of a no-nonsense center back. And I'm sure Liga MX fans from Santos Laguna will be able to comment down below. So what I have here is 1 point for Ecuador, 1 for the United States. You have 2 for Ecuador that you said.
Yes. I know the U.S. men's national team fans are gonna hate me for choosing Felix Torres, but again, I know that it's not his fault, because Greg Berhalter does have his favorites, but he's not starting for the national team, and he's being called up, and he can't start, and to me that shows that he doesn't have this national team experience. And if we're talking about 2 World Cup national teams, I'm gonna give the player that has national team experience. So I'm gonna go for
I have
Torres.
Hincapié because I'm just rating the overall ability.
Yeah.
I think Hincapié is a better player than John Brooks right now until proven otherwise. Also, Brooks didn't have the best of seasons. Now Richards over Torres, Felix over Felix. I prefer Richards here. So for you right now, it's 3-2 for Ecuador. For me, it's 3-2 for the US. So far it's pretty balanced. And then we reach the midfield. Okay, the midfield, we have dual pivots and then a 10. So the first dual pivot I want to talk about is the right central midfielder, which is the box-to-box midfielder. For the United States, it's Weston McKennie from Juventus, and we know his level. He's a very good, if he's an elite midfielder in the world right now. He's deadly on set pieces, can score goals, good on the ball. Do have question marks in terms of his tactical discipline, but as long as you're the coach and you know that he's not the most disciplined player tactically, you can use that to your advantage and let him free roam, and you get the best out of Weston. So Weston is my midfielder for the United States. Yours for Ecuador is actually a very good, young, promising midfielder.
Yeah.
Not at Weston's level, in my opinion, but pretty promising player.
Yeah, this is actually difficult now, and I'm also already thinking about this duel. it's difficult to me because I've always been, and this might come out a little biased, but I've always been a Moises Caicedo fan. He is a Independiente del Valle product, and I don't know if you guys know, but they're right now one of the top academies in South America. They're producing top quality players, and they're being transferred to Europe.
And one question, Caicedo went to Brighton, got loaned for 6 months to
Yeah,
Belgium, and then came back to Brighton and played in the Premier League at the second half of the season, right?
yeah.
He's
He's
20?
20, yes. But right now, recently, there's a transfer that just got confirmed by a midfielder in Brighton. I think his name is Busama. He recently got a transfer. So Caicedo is going to have an opportunity to start next season for Brighton in the Premier League. So that shows a lot about Caicedo. During the World Cup qualifiers, he shut down Messi. And if you look at stats, I know that many folks are not big fans of stats. He actually was considered as the best midfielder in the World Cup qualifier, ahead of Casemiro, ahead of a lot of the top midfielders the South American World Cup qualifier has. So it's really difficult to.
He's not better than Casemiro.
Okay, maybe again, guys, I'm gonna be very biased. In this whole roster, I think Caicedo will become a world-class player. I know you guys are gonna troll me. There's a lot of articles that they're talking about Caicedo, how he will become revelation for Brighton. So I am very high on Caicedo, but again, at the moment, I'm gonna go for Weston. But mark my words, guys. Please look out for Caicedo because this guy is amazing. He's a complete midfielder, and many people compare him to Conte. So having a box-to-box midfielder like Conte playing for your team is very exciting.
Palmeiras tried to sign Moises Caicedo before he went to Europe, and even Manchester United at one point seemed like they were going to sign him.
No, they were actually close, but then Brighton came in with the 5 million euros. And Man United didn't want to pay for that.
The way I see it is saying Caicedo could be better than Weston in the future is not crazy. I mean, it's a 20-year-old that's starting in the Premier League, and he just moved there, so he's learning, getting better. Right now, to me, there's no doubt. There's no way I would pick Caicedo over Weston in a game if I had to play it today, right?
Oh, I would disagree with you on that. I would disagree with you.
I wouldn't pick Caicedo over Weston today. Obviously, if 2 seasons from now, 1 season, once Caicedo has proven he can consistently play, because Weston has 2 seasons in the Serie A at a high level. He's proven, and Weston also has proven at the national team level too. Caicedo proved himself in South America, proved himself in CONMEBOL, and he seems to be close to proving himself. All he needs is a strong season in the Premier League.
I mean, he proved himself against Brazil and Argentina. Ecuador plays in CONMEBOL, and Caicedo was voted as the best midfield in the World Cup qualifiers. Weston plays at CONCACAF, and there's gonna be a video about this, so you guys are gonna have fun.
No, I definitely take that into consideration, but I'm just talking about looking at the overall ability of the player in the European leagues, right? The Premier League is better than the Serie A. I have no question. So if Moises can perform there consistently, which we'll find out, I guess we'll get a better grasp of it this year.
To be honest, I think Caicedo right now is, I mean, again, Weston is in, well, he had a long injury because of an Ecuadorian player, but at the moment right now, I still think Caicedo, I'm only going for Weston because he's playing for Juventus, which is an elite club, but I think Caicedo plays better than Weston McKennie. I actually do, and I think Moises Caicedo has more to offer than Weston. Weston, he's an attacking-minded player. Moises Caicedo, he's also pretty good at defense. He stopped Messi. It's really difficult for me to choose Weston, but I'm only going for Weston because of Juventus. That's all.
You're not allowed to not pick Weston here. No, I'm to me, overall ability right now, Weston. We'll see how Moises does this. We're gonna know a lot about Moises Caicedo in the next 6 months with the Premier League and then the World Cup. We're gonna get a good vision of that. The other option here is point for the United States.
Yeah.
So for me, it's 4-2 US. For you, it's 3-3 right now.
Yeah.
Now we're going to the other midfielder, which is the more defensive-minded midfielder, the CDM almost of this dual pivot, the guy that will drop back more. For the United States, it's Tyler Adams, and for Ecuador, I know you're going to pick a former FC Dallas player, Guezo, from Augsburg, which a lot of the Americans might have seen him here and there when watching Pepe, or kind of watching Pepe because Pepe wasn't playing. This one, to me, I'm just gonna tell you right away my opinion right away. I'm giving it to Tyler Adams, but it's a tricky
Yeah,
one because to be honest, they both don't really. They're not like broken out with their clubs, right? They're
they're the
still like,
same. Yeah,
yeah, they're in the same situation with their clubs. I personally think I'll tell you the reason why I'm going to pick Tyler here,
yeah,
because lately I've been rethinking all my opinions on Tyler Adams, his inability on the ball, he's just a press merchant a lot of the times. The reason I'll pick Tyler is this: Tyler did better than Gruezo in MLS, in my opinion,
mhm,
in the short period
yeah,
of time that they were there. And Tyler went to Leipzig, Gruezo went to Augsburg, which
yeah,
the levels are different. So Tyler struggling to get minutes for Leipzig is different from Gruezo, like having those in and out
yeah,
minutes for Augsburg. So I'm giving it to Tyler. And I think Tyler
yeah,
is a better player, but I don't think the gap is that big, if I'm being completely honest. And guys,
yeah.
I've been all for United States here in this video so far. I am telling you, I don't think the gap is that big.
Yeah, I mean, and as you guys could tell, maybe there's a hint of bias because I'm Ecuadorian American. But to me, I cannot choose Greso because he plays at Augsburg. I'm sorry, I live in Germany and I'm struggling with German names.
Augsburg. Augsburg.
Augsburg,
No,
yeah.
that's a terrible German accent.
But yeah, I mean, right now he was actually a starter when he first moved to the club, but now he's not under this new coach, and yeah, he's on the bench right now with Pepe. I really like Gresso because he is a distributor and he's a defensive-minded midfielder, which Ecuador we do have defensive-minded midfielders, but not someone who's able to distribute the field like you have with Gresso. But again, Adams, he has also experience at Champions League, and yeah, the gap it might be kind of similar, but Adams to me is the slightly better player.
Yeah, they're ball winning midfielders that are not super effective on the ball. When they're on
Yeah,
the ball, you're not going to expect much from them. Maybe distribution at most, but besides that, that's it. So right now, for me, it's United States 5, Ecuador 1, 2, and for you, it's 4 for the United States
the
and
US,
3
yeah.
for Ecuador. Okay, now we're gonna go to the 10, and I'll be very quickly with my 10. I would, and I know some people say, as the 10, I can play Brendan Aronson as a
Mhm.
pressing 10, right? Not a playmaking 10. He's more of a pressing 10. But I'm gonna have Giovanni Reina. I think a lot of
Oh,
the people forgot how good Reina is because he's
yeah,
been injured for so long. I think he'll be fine in terms of injuries. He's not gonna be like Claudio. We'll see. I'm not a doctor, so we'll find out soon enough. But Reina's my 10. He's
yeah,
the biggest talent I think the United States has right now, and probably the only player we have at the moment that I see. I'm not saying he's world class, and he's definitely not world class right now, but he is probably the only player we have that has that potential a few
yeah,
years from now. So Reina's my 10. And then your
yeah.
10 is also from Brighton, right?
Yes, his name is Jeremy Sarmiento. It's interesting because his profile is quite different from most of the Ecuadorian players right now. He was born in Madrid and was developed in the UK. So he has a South American swagger. Like the way he plays is like a typical South American, but very focused and very disciplined, like most European players. So the reason why I chose Jeremy Sarmiento is because, yes, he's young and exciting. So obviously, we all know that having a young, exciting player is interesting to have on a team. But to me, he offers something different. As I said, he's very focused, and he's also extremely good when it comes to dribbling one-on-one with opponents. So because of that, I went for Jeremy Sarmiento. But let's be honest here. This is not a debate. Right now, as well, of course, Gio Reyna is not a world class player, but I believe that the US at the moment, they do have really exciting young talent, but I think Gio Reyna is the only one that has a world class potential. And kind of similar with Ecuador, also a very young, exciting team, but with Moises Caicedo, possibly becoming world class. So this one's super easy. I'm gonna go for Gio Reyna.
Yeah, and I saw that Sarmiento played for the Benfica Academy too,
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah, yeah,
And just to make it clear for the viewers so they understand, when Dustin's saying he's more focused, it's because historically, not just Ecuador, a lot of the South American players historically they have issues of partying and maybe not being disciplined in the field.
Yeah,
And that's what we mean. And I mean, a lot of people know about this about Brazilian players, but it's
I
the
mean,
same, honestly, with Colombia,
I mean,
Ecuador.
we could throw some names at the moment. Like right now, the player that I could think of is Neymar. Like Neymar could have had an amazing career, but he's not focused. And yes, South American players are not. They don't really take the game so serious as European players, in my opinion, of course.
Yeah, for the most part, not all of them, right?
Not all
But
of
for
them.
the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so right now for the United States, for me, it's 6-2 US. For you, it's 5-3 for the United States. So let's go to the wings, and then we have the center forward, and then quickly the coach. So for the right wing of the United States, I have Paul Riola. No, okay.
Oh
The right
Lord.
winger, the right winger is Tim Weah, right? Tim Weah from Lille.
Yeah.
Uh, Club wise, not that good right now. Didn't have a good season.
Yeah.
National team, he's always showed up for the U.S. Can't complain about it. Dangerous. Sometimes I do. Here's a little bit of a criticism to Weah. I think he's very one-dimensional, right? His
Yeah.
play is always the same one: cut down the right, whipping across, or either just when he gets a clear shot, hit a nice strike. I think he's a big talent for sure. But yeah, a lot of players in the past were one-dimensional. First one that comes to mind was Arjen Robben from
Arjen
Netherlands.
Robben, yeah.
He literally did the same thing over and over again, and no one could stop him. So there's no problem with being one-dimensional as long as people can't defend it, and they do
Unless you
struggle.
unless you master it like Robin
Yeah,
did.
Robin would do the same thing over and over again, and everyone's like, I don't know how to stop him. So I have Tim Weah on the right wing.
There's a player that reminds me from Palmeiras. I forgot his name.
Dudu.
Hani, Ronnie.
Oh, Honey. Oh no, Honey's oh god.
He's so repetitive. I'm sorry, but it was just
Yeah, he
I'm
does the
just
same thing. He
picturing
just
him now.
runs.
Yeah, he just runs. Yeah.
But Robin was skilled too. But your right winger.
Yes, and talking about running, this guy could run. His name is Gonzalo Plata, and again, as we were talking, typical South American player. He is not focused. This guy has potential to be a really good player. The match that I'm thinking right now was against Colombia. This guy destroyed Colombia. I think
And got a red card, right?
He got a red card too. Yeah, and again, he's not disciplined. This guy destroyed Colombia, his current team, Valladolid. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, it's Valladolid. I believe it's the club Ronaldo Phenomenon is the
Yeah,
owner, and they
yeah.
got promoted to La Liga this season.
And one of the reasons is because of Gonzalo Plata. He was one of their outstanding players. Anyway, this guy, there's moments when you look at Gonzalo Plata and you think, wow, this guy is going to be world class. And then there's other moments that you look at him and he takes so long to pass. He is a pace merchant, but there's moments that he's not focused. He's within the game, within his soccer IQ. He doesn't pass when we want him to pass the ball, and that really frustrates me. There's other moments that he shows signs that, wow, this guy has potential to become a great player. I don't want to say world class. The mentality will affect him. If you're comparing Weah with Gonzalo Plata, I would choose Gonzalo Plata. But in this case, I'm gonna go for Weah. I really like him, and me and Felipe have been huge advocates of Weah. When I remember that Berhalter was just placing, I don't know, Areola and all these guys that we clearly know that they're not USMNT level.
So my opinion on Gonzalo, I'm gonna give it to Weah too, but I think Gonzalo Plata is a more talented player than Weah.
Oh,
Gonzalo Plata, one way to put it for U.S. soccer fans, he's faster, stronger, and can run more than Conrad, but it's something like Conrad, right? He's very skilled, can dribble through, but the final product's not there. The decision making's not good. Sometimes he'll score a golazo, sometimes he'll just have a bizarre kick on goal. Plata to me is more talented than Weah, people believe it or not, and he belongs to actually Sporting in Portugal, and he was
the
loaned.
First season he did pretty well. Then the second season he had issues with the coach, which is the reason why he was not starting. And then the coach changed the formation, and he doesn't fit the formation that they're currently playing. So he was literally at the bench the whole time.
Yeah, he's a lefty. He's a lefty winger that plays on the right, likes to cut middle. Very talented. Like Dustin said, he completely destroyed Colombia, and then got a red card in the same game he destroyed. He got a red card. So his issue is like discipline and maturing. If he matures, I actually think he's far more talented than Weah. And some people might not like to hear this, but it's true.
He's very exciting to watch. Like, he also reminds me a little bit of Robinho from Brazil. Very exciting to watch, but not consistent, unfortunately. But I'm not sure if Alfaro is gonna place Gonzalo Plata as the starter. But if he's coming off the bench, trust me, he's gonna be a deadly weapon. He's
gonna be either in Portugal next year or La Liga, either one. Now the left wing probably to me is the easiest one. The United States, it's Christian Pulisic, and I'm already giving the point to Christian Pulisic. Just to recap here, the score for me right now, it's 7-2 for the US. For you, it's 6-3 US. I'm already gonna give a point for the US here for Christian Pulisic, and you're probably gonna pick Pulisic too. But who's your winger so people can know? Because this guy, you gave me the name ahead of time, and I remembered him as a center forward. So when I saw that on your list, it was a surprise to me, and that's Valencia. Not the Valencia people know, it's another Valencia.
Yeah, it's Enner Valencia. He's 32. He's playing for Fenerbahce right now in the Turkish league. He struggled to be a center forward in Mexico. He was playing in Mexico at one point. So then
Tigres, right?
Yeah, Tigres. So then he got transferred to Fenerbahce, and within Fenerbahce, he sometimes starts as a second striker, and there's moments that they put him on the left. He's really fast. He doesn't have the final product, kind of similar to Gonzalo Plata in that sense. But what I like about Enner Valencia is that he has experience. I actually do think that he is a player that it's well needed. The Ecuadorian team, it's a really young team. And he's super fast. He's able to also score off penalties, which I know this sounds funny to say this, but it's very important for us to score penalties because we're horrible at penalties. Like, literally, we're worse than England. So, but I don't want to talk too much about Enner Valencia. He has World Cup experience, which I think is very vital. But for sure, this one's going to go for Pulisic.
You guys should get some advices from Seba Mendes from Orlando City, because Orlando City never loses on PKs. They never do. And Seba Mendes plays there. By the way, Seba Mendes usually makes the Ecuadorian roster. If anyone's wondering, he's usually on the roster. And Valencia also has experience with West Ham and Everton. So he's been around for a while, been here and there, Liga MX, Premier League, Turkish League.
Experience player.
So point United States here. So right now for me, it's...
I believe he's the top Ecuadorian goal scorer right now with Caicedo.
Yeah. So point for the United States here. For me, it's 8-2. For you, it's 7-3. And we come into the last position here for the United States center forward. To me, I wrote it down here: Pepe, Jesus, Sargent, DK, PFOC. I don't care. For the sake of this video, I'll just stick to Pepe. He was our best or top scorer in World Cup qualifying. We'll see how he does in Augsburg, but in the World Cup, it could be Jesus, could be Sargent, could be DK, could be PFOC, could be Haji Wright. I'll go with Pepe for this one. Yours, who's your center forward?
So this is actually a position that Ecuador is also struggling at the moment. I'm going to go for Michael Estrada, but right now is a DC United player on a loan. And he didn't really have such a great season with Tolucas in Mexico. But right now, I wouldn't say he's killing it at MLS because there's times that he's injured, but he's scoring goals. Leo Campana right now, he's also like having an amazing season, but it's MLS, guys. So he didn't do well.
Can we talk about that real quick? Because Leo Campana was really struggling in Europe in Wolves, and then he went to Portugal.
Wolves, Portugal, and Switzerland.
And then he came into Switzerland. That's a good example because we talk about PFOC, right? And then he comes into MLS to Inter Miami, and he's now benched Higuain. He has, I think, 9 to 10 goals in the season already. Hat trick. So talk about like level of play, how it matters. Leo Campana is not the starter, so you're putting Estrada. Would you give it to Pepe?
No, I'm actually gonna give it to Estrada, and the only reason why is only because of the World Cup qualifiers. Michael Estrada scored 6 goals, so to me that shows that this guy right now, I'm talking about not in the future, but right now, he would actually score for the US men's national team, Estrada. And yes, yeah, we could argue about MLS. Pepe did well MLS. Right now he's playing in Bundesliga, but he's not really playing. Estrada is scoring goals for the national team. Again, I'm gonna stick to the national team, not club level, national team level. Michael Estrada, I don't really like him because he's very consistent. But what I like about him is that he scored 6 goals at the World Cup qualifiers in CONMEBOL.
Yeah, so Estrada, I don't remember him much for Ecuador. Hasn't been that impressive to me in MLS for DC United. DC United fans can probably comment on that. Even
Yeah.
Campana in MLS has been better than Estrada.
Oh no, big
Yeah,
time. But
but
he can transition that to the national
my
team.
main
And I'm
thing here
talking about
is
the national team.
the U.S. center forward here could put maybe PFOC. I think a lot of our center forward issues are more Berhalter problems than player problems, right? He could have given PFOC more of a run. The guy's
Yeah.
now playing for Union Berlin, which was fifth and scored over 20 goals in Switzerland. I'm gonna give it to the United States for this one, and I said like it's like open to me of who's the. It's kind of like the goalkeeper that we had in the beginning, but I understand too your logic on it. I don't agree with it, but it makes sense there. It's kind of like those positions that you're picking who's the bigger smurf at
Yeah.
this point. It's just
Yeah, I mean,
it's just bad.
defend him. I'm not gonna put my energy to convince you. Whereas how I did for Moises Caicedo, because I do think Moises Caicedo is more talented than Weston McKennie. But right now, and I do think that Pepe will eventually become. I hope he becomes the player that we all are hoping for. But yeah, Estrada on a national team basis, he's okay. But for club, he struggles and yeah.
And just so MLS fans don't come in and bother about this, they're gonna say, but Jesus is doing better than Campana and Estrada and MLS. I think Jesus stat pads against crap teams, and just being honest. And people are gonna keep calling me a Jesus hater, but I still have the same opinion about Jesus Ferreira's overall ability, and I'm not gonna talk about it in this video. So my final score was United States 9, Ecuador 2. Your final score was United States 7, Ecuador 4. Just to finish off the video real quick, and this one's easy. The coaches, United States, Greg bounced past Berhalter. Ecuador, Gustavo Alfaro, that had a season or two with Boca Juniors, did fine. I think Ecuador has the better coach by a lot. He's getting the best out of this team. You talked about certain players, how the difference is, it looks like some players, when you look at this list, for the United States, they perform better for the club than the national team. And then you look at Ecuador, some players perform better for Ecuador, most players for Ecuador than for the club, which means he's able to get the best.
And this is very interesting within South American teams, but kind of similar to Peru. If you look at Peru plays amazing, but I think it has to do a lot with the coaches. So I'm not gonna go in depth and talk about Faro. Like we all know that yeah, Berhalter. I mean, he gets the job done, but guys, this is CONCACAF. In CONMEBOL, it's different. It's hard. And yes, Ecuador does have the altitude on their favor, but I mean, teams like Brazil and Argentina, they can't really beat Ecuador
So does Bolivia, and they suck.
And they suck. And yes, and Brazil even spanks Bolivia in the altitude. So yeah, that's the only reason why it might seem kind of crazy that I'm choosing a player that plays in Liga MX over someone that plays in Bundesliga. Moises Caicedo over, well, in this case, I went for Weston McKennie, but there's moments that I'm like, oh, I'm not sure about it, because the World Cup qualifiers in CONCACAF, it's not as challenging as CONMEBOL, in my opinion.
No, it isn't. And we have a video with Herc Gomez that's probably out already by the time you're watching.
One of my favorites, actually. So,
yeah, and we talk about that, me and Herc, and agreeing for the most part. But all right, Dustin, finally able to record this episode that we've been wanting to record for a while. Everyone, don't forget to drop a like. If you made it this far in the video, it's something you can do. And I guess that's all. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and have a great day.